Hi, this is vlog 2. Today is the 11th of January. Um, the reading, the very beginning, it talked a little bit about rupture. And I think that, obviously not to the extent of the um, quotations, the stories that were told in the beginning of the reading, but I think that I experienced a little bit of that today in the Ninth Fort Museum, just because the way that it was explained is there's just this like moment where all of a sudden everything becomes very real. And like I've heard this before and I've studied it before. We've talked about it in class, and I know that it's real. I know that it happened, and we've been walking around these places for several days now. But I think that I didn't really know a lot about the Ninth Fort when we got there. I wasn't aware that it ended up being like a death camp. Um, and I think that contributed to, you know, the kind of like shock that I felt when our tour guide said, I think she said 5,000 people were killed there, and I just like kind of realized that I was standing in the place where thousands of people lost their families and their lives. And like the same thing when they were carving their names on the walls, they knew that they were going to die. And for me that was just a very real realization of like, this, it hit me in a way that kind of hadn't really occurred to me yet, that we're walking around the places where this happened. We're standing, where these people stood while they were waiting to die, basically. So I think that that experience definitely helped me understand better what the reading was talking about when it talked about rupture. Um, excuse me. The other thing, just kind of about post memory in general, that really I was able to connect accurately was when we were touring the ghetto in Vilnius. Um, when we looked at the recreations of the hiding places, and in the Greenhouse Museum as well, there was a hiding place. Walking into those places, it sort of felt like, even though they're like recreations, um, it kind of felt like, like I'm not supposed to be here, like all of a sudden it feels very like wrong, like you don't belong there, like this is not your space. And I think feeling that way for me was kind of a trigger to imagine, like, when, one person, I walked in, by myself, or me and two other people, and it was crowded and uncomfortable, and it's um gave me a minute to kind of imagine what did, the full families sometimes more that fit into these tiny freezing cold spaces for, hours or days or weeks at a time, just to try to save their own lives. What did they feel like the first time that they saw it? Because the first time that I saw it, it was, it was like interesting, but at the same time, it was very uncomfortable to like look at a space and know that, this a bunch of people lived here, and they're obviously not like ideal living conditions in any way, but um, I think being able to imagine how they felt the first time that they saw that, and realized, they're going to have to live there for, in like indefinite period of time in a lot of cases. Um, I was kind of able to construct my own sort of post memorial experience of like me experiencing, sort of, obviously not to the same extent, but seeing what they saw and hearing about what they experienced, not just in the hiding places, but throughout the ghetto, and the kind of escape stories that we talked about. I was able to kind of construct my experience of their trauma, although lesser. I still, as much as I'm able to can empathize with that and how they felt and really just kind of create for myself that, you know, I sort of get it now. I get post memorially how that can really affect somebody, especially imagine the grandchildren of the children of these people that didn't remember it, or coming back and seeing these places, that for them must have been a much higher level of post memory. But it's that experience, I definitely was able to kind of help me understand more the idea of post memory and kind of construct on my own a little bit of my own post memory of just like I experienced to the best of my ability, um, through seeing what they saw and standing kind of where they stood. I was able to sort of post memorially experience their experiences, experience their trauma, which is kind of what post memory is. So I went a little over time, probably because I'm sniffling, but that's kind of all I had to say. So